The Hill Street family. In September 1981, residents of Hill Street began referring to the occupants of a house at the end of the street simply as the family. No document identifies who first used the phrase. Within several weeks, everyone did. County property records indicate that the residence had been legally vacant since 1969. No sale had been registered. No lease agreement existed. No transfer of ownership had ever been recorded. Nevertheless, neighbors gradually became convinced that someone had moved in. No single event caused that conclusion. It developed slowly. Laundry occasionally appeared behind the house. Children's clothing. Bath towels. Bed sheets. No witness ever reported seeing anyone hanging them. Every Thursday morning, before sunrise, black garbage bags appeared beside the road. Sanitation workers later estimated that the amount closely matched the weekly waste produced by a family of 4. After sunset, neighbors occasionally heard ordinary household sounds. Kitchen cabinets closing. A chair scraping across the floor. Footsteps upstairs. A radio playing somewhere inside. Once. Brief laughter. Nothing sounded unusual. Years later one resident described the house this way. It didn't sound haunted. It sounded like someone trying very hard to sound normal. Several neighbors attempted to introduce themselves. Margaret Lewis baked an apple pie and left it together with a handwritten welcome note. Nobody answered the door. The following afternoon, the empty pie dish appeared on her own porch. It had been washed. The note had disappeared. Several weeks later another resident delivered Christmas cookies. 3 days afterward, the metal tin was returned. The cookies remained untouched. Inside, someone had carefully arranged 12 identical autumn leaves. Each had been washed. No fingerprints were recovered. By winter, children had begun calling the residence the family house. Adults gradually adopted the same name. The family attended no church services. No school events. No neighborhood gatherings. No local business remembered serving them. Nobody considered this unusual. The first official complaint was submitted in April 1982 by sanitation worker Earl Donovan. For several months, Donovan had quietly inspected the garbage bags before loading them onto his truck. Eventually, he began keeping notes. One bag contained a hardcover novel, 3 children's socks, a flashlight, a bottle of cough syrup, 1 gold earring. Another contained a kitchen knife, a family photograph, a porcelain doll missing both arms, several polished river stones, a live kitten. The animal appeared healthy. It was later adopted by Donovan's daughter. Subsequent collections contained a loaf of bread, a toaster, half a watermelon, an alarm clock, 3 birthday cards, a baseball glove, 1 leather shoe, a violin string, 27 buttons, a toothbrush. Nothing was broken. Nothing had spoiled. Nothing appeared to have been discarded because it was no longer useful. Years later, researchers reviewing Donovan's notebook identified a pattern that had been overlooked during the original investigation. Every garbage bag contained objects associated with ordinary human routines. Eating, sleeping, cleaning, working, playing, learning, remembering. But no bag ever contained enough objects to complete even one of those activities. One bag contained toothpaste. Another, toothbrushes. Another, plates. Another, Drinking glasses. Never together. Donovan ended his notebook with one handwritten observation. The sentence never appeared in the official report. It looked like someone knew which things belonged inside a family, but didn't understand how families actually lived. 3 days later, Ashwood police obtained a warrant to enter the residence. Ashwood police entered the Hill Street residence on April 19, 1982. The search lasted approximately 3 hours. No people were found. No animals. No evidence suggested that anyone had recently fled the property. The interior appeared occupied. Beds had been made. Laundry had been folded. Fur coats hung beside the front door. 4 toothbrushes stood in a ceramic cup. The dining table had been set for 4 people. Every room appeared orderly. Nothing suggested abandonment. Yet several officers later made similar remarks during separate interviews. None could identify anything specifically unusual. Only that the house felt strangely incomplete. The refrigerator contained no food. Instead, investigators documented family photographs, bars of soap, birthday cards, wooden apples, river stones, a box of sewing needles. The microwave contained a ceramic bowl filled with Lego bricks. The oven contained 2 polished leather shoes. Upstairs, officers discovered 36 school notebooks. Every page contained the same sentence. Today was nice. The handwriting varied constantly. Some entries resembled a child's. Others appeared to belong to an adult. Months later, forensic document examiners concluded that every page had been written by the same hand. The final room stood at the end of the hallway. Unlike the rest of the house, it contained almost nothing. Only 4 department store mannequins. An adult man. An adult woman. A young boy. A young girl. All were dressed in ordinary clothing. Not posed naturally. Instead, they appeared to have stopped moving. The adult male leaned slightly toward the doorway. The boy's legs crossed awkwardly beneath him. The woman stood with one arm extended toward the hallway. The little girl was positioned nearest the door. One foot was turned outward, as though she had begun to run. One officer accidentally brushed against the child mannequin while entering the room. It struck the floor. Its right arm broke away from the shoulder. At that exact moment, 3 officers later reported hearing something. A woman. Quietly gasping. Not a scream. Not a cry for help. A short, instinctive sound. The kind someone makes after witnessing a child fall. The officers immediately searched the room. Then the hallway. Then the entire house again. No woman was found. The incident was omitted from the official report. Each officer later stated that he assumed he had imagined it. The mannequins were photographed, catalogued, removed from the residence. 6 weeks later, the investigation was officially closed. The final conclusion stated that unidentified occupants had abandoned the property before police arrived. No attempt was made to identify them. Later that year, the house was demolished. 19 years passed. In 2001, graduate researcher Emily Carson requested access to the archived case while studying abandoned rural communities. She showed little interest in the mannequins. Instead, she focused on the witness interviews. She noticed that every resident confidently described the family's routine. They listened to the radio. They washed clothes. They took out the garbage. They lived quietly. Then Carson asked herself a different question. Who actually saw them? She reread every witness statement. No one had seen laundry being hung. Only laundry already hanging. No one had seen garbage carried outside. Only garbage waiting beside the road. No one had seen anyone return the pie dish. Only the empty dish the following day. No one had seen anyone behind the curtains. Only movement. No one remembered hearing a conversation. Only household sounds. Carson contacted 23 surviving residents. She asked each of them the same question. Can you describe a single member of the family? Every interview followed the same pattern. A long silence. Then. I can't. I don't remember. I always thought I knew what they looked like. One former resident insisted he had waved several times to the father while mowing his lawn. Carson asked him to describe the man. The interview transcript records 81 seconds of silence. Finally he answered. I remember waving. I don't remember seeing anyone. Carson then returned to Earl Donovan's notebook. For the first time. She compared it with the inventory taken inside the house. Almost every object Donovan had found inside the garbage bags had another related object somewhere inside the residence. Toothpaste. Toothbrushes. Plates. Glasses. Soap. Shoes. Books. Toys. Birthday cards. Photographs. Everything necessary to imitate a family's life existed. Just. Never in the same place. Carson wrote only one observation before returning the archive. The investigation searched for a family. It never established that a family had lived there. No further review of the case was conducted. The house no longer exists. The occupants were never identified. No witness ever described seeing a single member of the Hill Street family. Only the things they believed a family had left behind. Case status, unresolved.